12 things everyone forgets about Brexit. Number 12. This is round 1 of negotiations. It's more than likely that Theresa May's Chequers deal will get blocked by Parliament and amended before being forced back to square one. With a new Prime Minister, perhaps after a general election, we might just end up renegotiating a completely different deal. 11. Article 50 was designed to cause chaos. So Article 50 is the legal process of leaving the EU, and it was designed not that long ago. The man who created it explained that the rules were written at a time when the EU leaders feared that Jörg Haider, then leader of the far-right Austrian Freedom Party, could be elected to lead the country. The regulations were designed to make it easier for the EU to suspend a country that had elected an authoritarian leader whose values were deemed to be at odds with those of the European Union. Number 10. The EU has already suggested a deal quite good for the UK. The EU has already suggested a possible Canada-style trade arrangement, an arrangement that means being out of the ECJ, out of the customs union, and out of the single market, but still allows tariff-free trading with the European Union. 9. The EU isn't frictionless. When you travel on the Eurostar between Brussels and London, you go through border control 3 times. Items get x-rayed and checks get made, but these aren't security checks, but customs checks. The border between Switzerland and Italy has Italian police checking people for a tax scam. They do checks away from the border to create the illusion of a frictionless border. 8. Trading under a free trade area involves rules of origin, customs declarations, and customs checks. But only 2% of goods crossing into the EU from outside are subject to any kinds of checks at all, and the average wait time is about 6 minutes. The difference between frictionless and friction-full trade isn't as different as you might expect. 7. You can't get certain jobs in the EU unless you have certain EU country-based qualifications. The 2006 Services Directive was designed to establish the single market in services, but French and German governments wanted to keep service markets to themselves. This angered the UK because the UK wanted to change this, being a country with the biggest service market. But obviously, it never got changed, meaning in certain areas, you'll always need a relevant qualification for the country to get a job in that country. 6. We have to let some people in anyway. So under the General Arrangement in Trade Services and World Trade Organization rules is the National Treatment Principle. Any nation is not allowed to restrict access to its service markets based just on their nationality. For example, you can't say, no more Polish plumbers because they're Polish. Instead, the principle ensures a foreigner in a country is granted the same rights as the locals. The same could be applied to UK citizens wanting to work in the EU. 5. The immigrants have to finish their jobs. Regardless of what kind of Brexit we get, under the acquired rights provisions under World Trade Organization rules, a contract and property rights are protected. Meaning a German builder who started building a house on March 2019 will have rights to stay until they're finished the building. 4. Europe wants to trade in the UK's markets. EU entities and businesses want to be able to raise funds on London's capital markets. 3. The EU isn't that good in services. There isn't a better performance in the internal EU service sector exports compared to non-EU countries exporting to the EU. 2. The EU wants the UK to believe in the island problem. The EU wants us to stay in the customs union, which means no ability to trade with countries outside the customs union, which means no benefit to the UK. They want that because punishing the UK helps unify the rest of the EU. 1. A hard border is not required under WTO rules. Barnier said that even in the doomsday scenario of a no-deal Brexit, they would not require Ireland to impose a hard border. So we already know that when it becomes the EU's problem, they will deal with it. But it's still a contentious issue. It's about who blinks first. Theresa May has made the mistake of accepting the EU's framing of the issue as a pawn in the customs union game. But do you agree with me? Join in the debate below and subscribe.